Peace and love. Welcome to Monday's Poems. I'm Golden Goddess, and today we will be serving purpose by helping others speak their piece. So stay tuned and hear this fresh spoken word created between the artist and the community. Welcome to Monday Poems, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed the first episode. And guess what? We're back for another one. Today we have our lovely musician, Jamila Wright, and then we have our poetress, Tropikana. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into it. You know how we like to kick it off. We're going to start off with a few different affirmations. You guys can feel free to add a few different affirmations if you like. It's totally open. Also, if you guys got some affirmations you want us to share or you want us to speak about, feel free to definitely post those. Email us. Doesn't really matter. Just get them to us, okay? So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started with our affirmations. Just for today, I am grateful. Just for today, I am at peace. Just for today, I am whole. Just for today, I am happy. Just for today, I am sound. Just for today, I am in alignment with God's will and God's word. And just for today, I will not worry. You guys have any affirmations you want to add?
Those are all the affirmations I needed.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Well, without further ado, remember, post your affirmations at the bottom. Let us know what you guys want to hear. So we're going to go ahead and jump into it. We got Tropikana here, who's going to share a lovely poem with us. So why don't you give us a little background about it? What you going to be speaking about today?
I am talking about love.
Okay.
It's about redefining and exploring love after disappointment.
Okay.
It was a writing assignment from a friend of mine. So I've actually never read this out loud or shared it with anybody, but it was a writing challenge to write from a perspective of vulnerability.
Okay. Well, we are truly appreciative to get the first hot scoop.
I don't know if it's a high school, but you gonna get the first scoop.
All right then.
Yeah.
All right, so without further ado, I think you two got some magic to create.
You ready? I'm following your vibe. You said the vibe. I wrote this poem about a poet, which is really actually funny. It says, I cried out to God, as I did often, on one of my most exhausted grown woman kind of days, carrying my son, his kindergarten worries, working, all of my single mommy responsibilities, working, protecting, providing, working, thinking ahead, not complaining, working, figuring it all out, not breaking, working, helping others, not dropping a ball, working, showing up, my family and their secrets, working, the expectations of my colleagues, unspoken trauma, working, and the weight of my own personal world and disappointments on my shoulders, but with a smile. Reenacting this show daily, I was tired, overwhelmingly so, to be honest. Although I would never ask for help, I needed it. A break of sorts, if only for a second. The show must go on, right? Performing well under pressure, I performed this wild balancing act on a tightrope day in and day out in front of all of those people. Family sometimes cheering, strangers peering, and my past jeering at me. They all came to see her in this amazing show, but I was invisible to them. And she put on a stellar show, always. Round of applause. She trapped me in a show of false perfection. Wearily, I cried out, God, please send someone. Send someone to see me like you see me. Send someone to understand and help. Send someone to find me. I prayed. And I went on with my mundanity, hopeful but not expecting. Until a familiar stranger showed up to my box office opening act. I will would like to spend intentional time with you, he said. Always a gracious host, I invited him to my show and offered him the best seat in the house. I would love that, I said. And there he sat, center stage, with his measured words and his mysterious story behind his eyes, his beautiful black brilliance falling from his lips, his curious observations leaving nothing unlearned, his humble character extending a bridge of humanity, his charismatic smile that shed light only second to his illuminating compassion. He came to see me, performing at a little tiki bar. Our aesthetics as offbeat as me, stumbling to remember the steps to this dance I performed on, and he watched my show. As we got lost in libations, he challenged each step, and I drifted in his curious eyes and beautiful smile, and we caught a rhythm. His challenges excited me. Never shy to spotlight, she shined. And when he spoke, I listened. You like to be in control. A twinkle of sorts in his eye. I shied. He made me blush. How can he see me? He smiled and enjoyed his victory. He watched me, but he challenged her. Don't flirt with me. I flirt back, he said. His vibe was delicious. You have nice lips, he smiled, playfully taunting me as the liquor he sipped began to speak for him. Kiss them, I thought. I murmured a shy thank you and glanced away. I needed to touch him. I was stuck. He was a faint tune in the background, quickly turning into an intoxicating song that I began to move to. And he danced with me to a dark room full of people I couldn't see. Surrounded by people, but I could only see him. We danced. Act 2. A sultry, dark tango. His body close to mine, gently touching the small of my back. In this crowded place, I felt safe. I pressed myself into his confidence. He smelled so familiar to me, like the peace I had so long craved. The stage lights dimmed, and I gave in to his music, and we danced. His moves caressed me, protected me, celebrated me, and he became the lead of the show. Standing fucking ovation. The crowd disappeared and he's still here. Looking for me. Not her. Not the flirtatious performer that controlled the crowd, but me. The invisible one he seems to see so well. When the air stilled, he came looking in the dark for me. His words and thoughts, a flashlight compassionately sweeping the room for traces of me. And there I was, in a dark corner, sitting surrounded by broken records, broken hearts, broken dreams, and broken promises. Diligently piecing it all back together. Safely tucked away in my hiding place, hopefully and hopeful, but not expecting anyone to see me. He sat down with his flashlight as I cowered from his light. He shined it on his own wounds, a silent invitation to a safe place hidden behind his pain. His wounds no longer open, yet still tender and fresh. They were healing. They were visible. He let me touch them. He held my hand and gently traced them. The electricity of his touch made me want to taste his pain, to kiss his heart with my lips. What and who could have possibly hurt such a beautiful warrior as you? I desired to learn the deepest and darkest pains he battled. I needed badly to mirror the pain. I needed badly to mirror the peace and acceptance he gave to me, to cater to him because his own journey called for transparency, growth, and acceptance. A trip I also needed to take. I was in awe at his rawness, how he fought his demons openly and confronted them for the world to see. He didn't hide from his darkness. He embraced it. He wasn't afraid of his feelings like I was. He grabbed a broken record and began to help me piece it back together. He was ever so gentle with me, piece by piece. He shared his wounds, and I kissed each one as he illuminated my hiding place with his words. The end.
Your first time reading out loud, how do you feel now that you've read it?
It's interesting to say it out loud. I think I wrote this like at 6 o'clock in the morning, like all night. I write in my sleep. So it's interesting to hear it, I guess. When you say it out loud, it sounds different out loud than it does when you write it.
Okay.
But it was good. Much respect to the person who inspired it.
Sounds like a wonderful gentleman, if that's who inspired it. But the experience overall was dope to like actually travel the journey with you. I think at home, men and women can actually kind of sit back and, you know, if they haven't had this experience, look forward to it. And if you have, kind of recap on it and say you are with your significant other. These are some things that you can possibly sit back and write to each other, you know.
Yeah.
I know me and my fiance, we do a lot of different activities that kind of help us express ourselves, better communicate, things of that nature, and poetry is definitely one of them. Miss Jamila, how did you feel about, you know, being on the tunes?
I always love collaborating and working with people, but I love your vibe.
Thank
Love
you.
it.
Thank you.
It flowed right into everything.
Thank you. Yeah, this was a challenge to write from a perspective of vulnerability. When they gave me the challenge, it was so awesome because the person that inspired it is also a writer and a poet, and it was awesome because at the time that I was writing this, I was in such a place where, you know, you have such a big disappointment where you kind of wear your own disappointment and nobody else knows because you just go through your day to day. But you know, like, dang, like I really messed up. And it isn't that. Like, you live in the shame of your heartbreak or your disappointment. And it could be anything from a job or a relationship failing, something that you felt like you failed at. And we don't say that stuff out loud. And he challenged me often to express the way I felt. And sometimes when you live in that place of shame from that disappointment, the only way you can express it is to write it down. And he challenged me in that way. And I'm ever thankful for it because after writing it down, I was able to say, oh, it really wasn't that bad. I'm really on the other side of it. There's a freedom in writing it down so that you can let it go, to move forward, to invite that again. And you can't really invite it again if you're not vulnerable enough. We kind of shut down after disappointment, so you don't give people an opportunity to connect with you. And sometimes those people that are coming to connect with you have such a valuable piece for your next step that you'll miss it if you don't. So this was really freeing, to say the least.
You touched on the exact thing about it, freeing, liberating.
Very liberating.
I'm happy that you were able to, one, place yourself outside of what had happened, whatever you were beating yourself up about.
Mm-hmm.
You were able to step back and actually see, like, okay, well, maybe it isn't as bad, like you say, as you thought it was.
There's always love on the other side.
Indeed.
And waiting on you. Regardless, whether it's your love or your kids' love, your family love, or your relationship
love
love,
always exists.
Always there.
It's always going to win. Another thing you touched on is there's strength in vulnerability. But to be vulnerable, I find sometimes, like, because of that fear of you not, you know, some people never stepped into the shoes of vulnerability.
Yeah.
So it's part of releasing control. Those that are able to release the control actually see what it's like to see themselves vulnerable. Like, it's strength in that.
Yeah.
But you got to find where your own strength is with it, you know, how it works for you, definitely. But I think that's very insightful. And if you guys at home are not even doing that, take the time to, I tell people all the time, catch yourself. What is it that led you down this road, and why did you allow it to lead you down that road? At some point, we have to take responsibility for our own actions. Not saying the things that happen without your control, but for the part that you did play in it. Take the responsibility. Look at yourself. It's okay. you're gonna like who you are, you're gonna love who you are at the end of the day. But look at yourself. If you need to correct some things, go ahead and do that, because all it's gonna do is set you up for the future to be your best self.
And on the other side of that too is that the things that you can't control that happen, that disappoint you, understanding that there is a strength that is made perfect in your vulnerability. We talk about our spiritual journeys often, and the one thing that I've grown up over the years understanding is that there's a level of pride associated with not being able to ask for help. There's a level of pride that is associated with creating a false strength in your own self, in your own might after a disappointment, and you don't allow God to come in and heal or to be your strength in the place that you feel weakness. And for me, this was just always a reminder of how much that God loved me, because only in my weakness, only in my admission of my vulnerability, only in me saying that, hey, this hurts, can I allow God to say, I'm here to heal you, and that my strength is made perfect in your weakness. But you can't allow him to step in and even begin to heal your hurt or to guide you or give you wisdom without admitting that, hey, I am weak in this area, so that he can strengthen you to be able to move forward again or to not be afraid. And it just always goes back to the end of the day that God is love. He is your first love. And even when you can't see him or feel him in your dark places, he still loves you. And he'll send a messenger at times to remind you to come dance with me again. Yeah. So I can show you that my love is still there for you.
Yeah. And I know for you guys, you probably feel where I'm about to go with it, but that is so refreshing and weight lifted when you realize, like, okay, yeah, I got somebody that's here, whether I see you or not. Like you say, someone will come around and remind you. Like, I don't know, when I first made my transition and actually started surrendering to God or just giving it all, and I know I've done all that I can do, and I actually just kind of like, let me step back a little bit. Yeah, like, go ahead. Like,
it's too late for me.
You say, take my burdens. Mine are way lighter than your burdens. Whenever that connect for you guys, you're gonna see the weight be lifted, literally. But the more and more I started doing that, I started realizing I was getting myself in alignment for all the things that I desired, but even the things that I didn't even think about, but I was gifted them. And so, one, to be able to manage such things means that I'm showing, hey, I can manage more. Come on. So when I do make it through different levels, whether it's mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or physically, it lets me know, like, okay, he gives us battles to his toughest soldiers. It doesn't necessarily have to mean, like, I'm going to always be rough and tough and having to fight through things. No. Some battles could literally be just being happy in a place where nobody's happy. Like, that's even deeper. But I'm the one that got peace, or we all have peace in that area. And there's people that literally don't know how to just sit, smile, or be happy genuinely. And for those, your time is coming. Definitely keep working on self, and you have no option but to elevate. I thank you for sharing that piece with us, and also giving us an insight of where your heart was, but also where you were, and being vulnerable with us. Is there anything that you want to let the people know, or you want to leave them with before you do that, by the way?
Thank you.
Tell the people who you are.
Oh,
yeah,
girl,
you got to.
My name is Tropikana. I am a teacher at Ohio Media School. And I do middays on 101.1 The Wiz. I do weekends on Power 107.5, 106.3 in Columbus. And I do weekends at Z1079 in Cleveland. I'm a radio personality that is completely overworked across the state of Ohio, but I love everything that I do. So I would never, ever, ever take that for granted, or take it lightly as not a gift. So please, if you're ever in your car and you're riding, please join me in the midday for good vibes to get you through your work day. If I would leave you with anything, I would say that just trust God with every step of your life. because he knew you before you were ever formed. He knew any disappointment, any heartbreak, any failure, any challenge that you may encounter that would make you feel like you are either not worthy or that you are not infinitely designed for his very best blessings. I would encourage you to know that God's will for your life is to bless you and for you to have peace and for you to have joy in your life. But it really genuinely takes for you to realize that you can't do it without him. So I would challenge you, whatever your belief is, whatever your religion is, whatever your walk is, whether you've never had an experience with a higher power, to know that God genuinely loves you and he got your back.
Inshallah, inshallah. Miss Jamila, is there anything you want to leave the people with this session?
Gratitude.
Hey, that's the attitude. And there you guys have it, our short, sweet, simple tunes. We have the lovely Tropikana and the lovely Jamila Wright. We gonna close it out the right way. See what I did there? No. We gonna close it out with a prayer. Would you guys want to lead it, or?
You do it. I'm with you.
Either way it goes. You can bow your head, close your eyes, keep them open. It does not matter. Whatever works for you. We just appreciate you guys for listening, tuning in, and rocking with us. All right, without further ado, get started. Breathe. You know, we got to do our breathing exercise. So breathe in and just breathe out. One more time. God, I want to thank you for giving me platforms to glorify your name, but also to serve purpose to the kingdom and the people of the kingdom. Thank you for them serving purpose in my life and continuing to fill my cup as I fill theirs. Thank you for your grace and your mercy, your forgiveness, and never forsaking us, always keeping us when we don't keep ourselves. And I thank you for much that you gift us to manage, but also aid us as we manage these things. Thank you for aiding us as we answer your call, and thank you for answering our calls. May we continue to listen with the ears of our hearts, and may they continue to be open. May we continue to give you glory in every platform, and may we continue to be humble servants to you. Everything that you gift us with, we are truly grateful for. And I thank you for you just being you. You know, it's always love and peace and light. But I'm even grateful to dwell in your heart as you dwell in ours, but also dwell in your kingdom, dwell on your name, and to dwell with you. Thank you. In your name we praise with gratitude, peace, love, and light.
Amen.
Amen. You guys are free to go.
You're so raw. You're so
Gratitude.